Hi, ladies. This is a tough one. This is really a tough one. It's so deeply embedded. How do we break the martyrdom? How do we break it not only today, not only once in a while, but forever? And it's really, really tough. But if we think together, and we talk together, and we understand it, and we bring out our logic selves, we can do it. Okay, here's how it happens. In English-speaking countries, the father typically was the one who worked. Now, you have to remember, I was born right after World War II. I'm a baby boomer. So the world that I saw was the post-World War II world where the men had all come back from the war. There were very few women, there were a few nurses, but as far as who was considered the veteran, it was always a man. Okay, the women were back there. You had, Gallo was teaching us how to work in the manufacturing and make the things that the guys needed, but it was the man who came back with half a leg, his arm missing, or PTSD. My dad came back from Korea with PTSD, which was right after World War II. So see, you've got all these things going on that have really magnified the male. But it was already that way, but it just made it worse, okay? The strong, dedicated soldier, airman, whatever, seaman, but they were all honored. So in the home, it was the same way. Now, when I lived in Mexico, they always told me the woman's in charge of the home and the man's in charge of everything outside. And yet I saw the same thing. When the dinner was served when the man wanted, the food was served as the man wanted. He was questioned about what he wanted. Did he want a drink? Did he want some food? Did he want something done differently? Oh my gosh, he saw the mirror dirty and had a fit. And she goes running over to clean up the mirror in the bathroom or the living room or wherever it was. Okay, so it was always this role of second class, and it's a role of being a martyr, and we buy into it. I was taught that my father walked on water. He was never home. He was always off on a military mission. He was an airman returning from the military. It was always that way. And my home wasn't a typical home, so we won't have to go into that. But what I'm talking about is the typical home. The man was king. Said she did that. And there were a lot of different things that women in general do on a date. They dress up, they act Demetra. They act like they're second class. They really do. It's just part of what we're taught. We're taught to be under the foot of the man. When women started working outside the home, and that really became a push in the 1950s. By the 1960s, it was almost always a two-family income. And now, my understanding from the latest things that I've read, and I really do pay very close attention to the economic pictures because I'm very interested in it. That's why I studied it. And I really want to know what's going on. What's changing in the world? How is it different than this world that we laid out 80 years ago? After the World War II, to not have wars and to be, all these things that just haven't happened. So women went to work, and now I understand that most families have 3 incomes. One of them is working 2 jobs, or both of them are working a job and a half, because you just can't make it right now. So why is it? And I'm not talking about just you. I'm talking about me. Why is it? I mean, I have 5 college degrees. My husband has 1. Potentially, I should be upper class. Doesn't work that way. I'm waiting on him all the time. Why is it that when I put the wash in, I assume I'm going to hang it up? We're deep ecologists, so I don't use a dryer. Why is it that when it's time to have coffee, I assume that I'm the one that has to make it? Why do I do all the cooking? Why do I do all the shopping? Well, my husband is ill, but in general, it's always been that way. If there's someone to be hired to help with what's going on, then I'm in charge of that. I have to do that. I make all the doctor's appointments. I make sure we have the transportation. I pay all the bills. And when I have a choice between two different bananas or two different apples, I give him the nicest one. Why is that? It's so deeply ingrained in us. And then along comes somebody like AOC, the senator well, she's actually a socialist. And she has, at such a young age, because I think she's only 32 or 33 right now, she has shown us how to stand up for ourselves and say to, and I do, not a lot, but I do more than I ever did years ago. But we've been together 30 years, you know. There comes a time when you have to say to them, hey, whoa. I mean, whoa. We are in this together. We are doing all that we're doing here, whatever it happens to be, together. Yes, I feed all the animals. I buy all their food. I buy all your food. I make all your food. And you know what? I'm going out to lunch today. I'll see you later. And leave. Don't act like you shouldn't do it. Do it. Go. Leave. If your husband, like mine, has to have somebody with it, make sure he's got somebody with him. But go. And don't feel guilty. Now, that's the part you really have to work on. You really have to look back at the Constitution. It says, we the people, to form a more perfect union. It doesn't say we the men. I mean, it's signed all by men. We all know that. But that's not the world we live in anymore. The world we live in requires all of us to be going out and earning a living. I mean, everybody who's in the lower or middle class is working. That's all there is to it. There's no option to live the way we do. Now, if you want to be like my husband and I and come here to Ecuador, then that's just not necessary. Usually, if you're a professional, it's not necessary. But the normal people here, the women make $15 and $20 a day, and the men make $20, $25 a day, and that's it. That's what they do. If they're not a professional, that's what they make. And that's US dollars, because that's what they use here. But it's the understanding that's important. It's the understanding that we have to work on ourselves to be who we want to be able to speak up for ourselves, to be able to approach our partner, our husband, our brother, our father, and say, just a minute. Now, I know that little Latin girls, when they're young and before they have their quinceañera, when they're 15, they can manipulate their dads into getting what they want. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about standing up as an equal and saying, I've done this, I take care of that, and now it's time for me to do something that I wish to do, to think that I have a say in what's going on here. And it's difficult, especially difficult if you haven't done that before. But it's really important, because once you do it, once he gets that you will do it, it will last. He may not like it, but it will last. If you are sure of yourself and confident and make it clear, logic comes into play here. And you can do this. You can bring logic into your relationship. Not easy, but don't you deserve it? How many times have you felt like a dish rag, like a doormat, like you were always acquiescing to him? Oh yes, we don't bow, but it feels like it. Lots of times it feels like it. Lots of times it feels like we really have no say whatsoever. And everything is coming from what he wants. And a good example, a great example. So look at the current president, President Trump. His wife, she's in front of every human being on the planet when she pushed his hand away when he went to take it from her. Take a lesson from her. Is she the best person on the planet? No. Is she a great mom? A great wife? No. But she may, in fact, be a great mom. Everybody says she's a great mom, so let's just assume she's a great mom. But she knows who she is. And that is the sample that I'm trying to. I'm not saying she's the best. No, she doesn't fit in my categories. I mean, my core values are honesty. Oh, gosh, honesty means everything to me. Ethics, being true to people, having empathic feelings for others, being concerned about others, trying to make the world a better place, all of those things. But that doesn't mean at the same time you can't show that you as a leader should be treated in the same way that others are treated. All you have to do is stand up for yourself. And like I said, the first time it's tough, the second time it's a little easier, and if he hits you or something like that, complain about it. I mean, tell somebody. Don't sit back. You don't have to go to the police. You could go to his mother. You could go to his uncle or his aunt or someone who will listen and say, we need to have a conversation. You can go to a marriage therapist. Some way you have to get yourself to that place, because until that happens, you'll continue to have that resentment. And resentment is never, never, never good for a family. To feel resentful, it's not teaching your daughters the right message, or your sons. If your sons and your daughters both understand how life should be as a partnership, I cannot begin to tell you how beautiful my relationship has become, because over the years I have taken more of a role, not always, he still gets the best apple, more of a role of saying, hold on, just a minute. I did this and this and this and this and this, and now it's time for me to do that. You know, now when I go to place an order, as we order a lot of things from the States, because there's just certain things we can't, like can't buy a pair of shoes the size we wear. This is Ecuador, for example. But there's things like that. He says, get anything you want. That's the way to go forward. Now, if you have any questions, I have a school, SKOOL, called Trauma Caregivers. It's about taking the trauma that's in our lives and recognizing that we not only are caring for other people, we need to care for ourselves. As it says on the thumbnail, self-love. We've got to love ourselves before we can love somebody else in a fully love someone else. Otherwise, we're just carrying that resentment. And that resentment gets in the way of the space that we put away for love. So I have a school. It's called Summerland Trauma Caregivers School. SKOOL. It's online. I have 4 live meetings a week. Love to have you join us. Or you can leave a question down below. And you can also look at our Summerland site where we show some of the articles that honor the earth. Either way, Thank you for coming, and I hope I see you in school.